We are back. Our second guest tonight has, such an amazing story. After losing his leg in a motorcycle accident, he pushed himself through the pain and sorrow in his recovery, and just recently achieved his dream of re-entering the boxing ring. And he won. You don't want to miss this story. Please give it up for fighter J.R. Flowers. JR, a short version of how JR came to be on the show was a few weeks ago. I went to Island Fights 59 in Pensacola, and I'd seen him around a couple of times before. JR, tell us a little bit about your story first. You were originally an MMA fighter, right?
Yes, sir. 10 years I fought and trained mixed martial arts. I trained with various people in the various professional fighters in Pensacola. And
then about a year ago, you had a motorcycle accident and you lost your leg in that wreck, correct?
Yes, sir.
So what you've got now is prosthetic, right?
Yes, sir.
And then it was a little over a couple weeks ago, was the Island Fights 59.
Yes, sir.
It was a Saturday night, and you got back in the ring.
Yeah.
And fought. It wasn't MMA, right?
No,
but it was
MMA.
It was a 3-round boxing match.
3-round boxing match. They only let me do 2-minute rounds, because it was my first one back. They didn't want to exhaust me too much, but I've been training, so.
And this is something people can probably look up and watch now. There's probably on social media, maybe even your social media?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. Island Fights 59. Just look up Island Fights 59 J.R. Flowers and pull it right up.
The inspirational thing here is that, and what made me want you on the show was, I was at that fight and I saw you step in the ring and you fought 3 full rounds, and he didn't treat you lightly. He fought you like an opponent that had both legs, didn't he?
Yes, sir.
And at the end,
I stood victorious with my hand raised.
And then you went from standing victorious with your hand raised.
So much emotion. They tried to turn us to face the crowd. As soon as they tried to turn us, my legs just gave out. From one, being in the fight for 3 rounds, 2, and then all the energy in the ring. There's a lot of energy going on in there.
So you had the wreck. You were engaged at the time of the motorcycle wreck, right?
Yes, sir.
And you were working your way up through the ranks in the MMA community, right?
Right.
And then, right after you lose your leg, she leaves you.
Yes.
And then you were, I guess, in a wheelchair? Probably about 3 months, 4 months?
Wheelchair for 3 months. That's part of the hardest part of the time of the whole recovery was those 3 months.
And at what point did you, I know that had to be remarkably depressing. I've had a lot of clients who've suffered similar injuries to yours, and it's really difficult for them, especially from a mental standpoint. It's really easy to get into a really bad mental place.
Yes.
And I know from speaking with you earlier, you went there for a period, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
And then what got you out of it?
It was the fact that I come to a place of realizing that, a lot of people get help. A lot of people, you're willing to help a lot of people. But in my case, I didn't have that. I didn't have people coming to help me. And when I realized that there was nobody coming, there was nobody going to help me, I did something about it. I had no other choice but to. I didn't have a choice. I was left with nothing.
Now, when you wanted to get back in the ring, you had a tough time finding somebody to fight you.
Oh man, didn't nobody want to fight somebody who was handicapped?
There's no upside for them.
There's no upside for
because
that.
Because if they win, they beat the handicapped guy, and if they lose, they got beat by the handicapped guy.
It's like getting into a butt kicking contest with a one-legged man and getting beat by the one-legged man in a butt kicking contest. Nobody wants that. Nobody wanted that.
But But there was a fighter who
stood up.
Who stood up. Yeah. And even though he lost the fight, I mean, you have to give props to the guy for giving you that chance.
Yeah.
And
it's not an easy loss to take. You know, coming from a fighter, coming from a man, that's not an easy loss to take. You know, beating somebody who is not at the same qualities you have, or getting beat by somebody that's a lesser person, you know what I'm saying? So what people would think because of my disability.
But like I said earlier, I mean, for those people who watch the fight, you can watch the fight. He didn't take it easy. I mean, he gave you some shots to the head.
He was trying to knock me out.
Now, we talked a little bit about what some of your goals are now, and tell us a little bit about those now.
Well, my goals are I want to be an inspiration. That's my main thing. I've done something nobody's ever done before. My biggest thing is I want to help kids that are in kind of like the same situation I am. Kids who have parents who have disabilities. A lot of times those parents, they're in low income. I want to be able to give them the same kind of advantage that other kids have. And not even just the kids that have disability, parents that have disabilities, but also kids that have disabilities. They're not able to compete because nobody wants to fight somebody who has a disability because, again, so therefore there's nothing for kids that have the same issue as I have, that have all the ability that I have as well.
And I'll say this, you know, when I saw you after the fight a couple weeks ago, I told you that I had just literally earlier that day met with a client who had also lost his leg in a motorcycle wreck, and that he was going through some tough times. And the first thing you said to me was,
"Oh, set me up a meeting. Let me meet him.
Yeah,
let me introduce me to him." Immediately,
he volunteered and said, "Let me, have him reach out to me. Let me reach out to him." And that's really telling. So we're here in the Sanger Theater in Biloxi, and we were talking a little bit about this. You were actually involved in the renovation of the Sanger Theater in Pensacola in some capacity, weren't you?
Yes, it was. That was a very, very big job to be on because of the historical. Everybody in Pensacola goes to Sanger Theater for comedians, symphonies, and so forth.
The opera.
Yeah, everybody goes. And for something like this to, be dismissed, I have a lot of memories in places like this. I mean, I remember as a kid going to the Sanger Theater and them showing us and the oohs and the ahs and how amazing it sounded in there. And then being able to be a part of the renovation of the place was awesome. It was just amazing.
JR, I thank you so much for coming. How can people follow you on social media so that they can follow your story and follow what's going on with you and get this inspiration?
They can look me up on Facebook, JR Flowers. YouTube, I have, again, the YouTube fight with Island Fights 59. Look up JR Flowers versus Mark Halford.
JR, thank you so much for coming, man.
Thank you for this opportunity, man.
And thank you for just being such an inspiration.
Oh, yeah.
That is our show for tonight. Thank you so much to Ms. Jane Chambra for joining us, as well as fighter JR Flowers. Mo Giles, take us home.